After 3 months in the waiting, it is time to review the Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series update that came to Grand Theft Auto Online back in March 20th, 2018. And the reason why I waited for over 3 months for this update is because it was different than a lot of the other updates. Yes, in previous DLCs, there has been a lot of drip-fed content, but in this one, it felt like it was a number of DLCs put together, small DLCs, and then some of those DLCs were put out later on throughout the past several months. So that's why I've been waiting until everything was out, or almost everything, before I gave you guys my review of this update. So we're going to go over the review, the pros, the cons, and then my final verdict regarding Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series. First off, let's go over the pros. Now, the pros is all the stuff, and then later on we'll break it down in the cons about what I didn't like. But overall, I do like the fact that we get new content every few months from Rockstar for Grand Theft Auto Online. This game is nearly 5 years old now, and we're still getting new content, and that's a good thing, definitely, absolutely. So let's start off with what we got day one. Well, the first mode we got was a personal favorite of mine, the Hot Ring Circuit, and I enjoyed this. Not everyone is going to like Hot Ring Circuit, but I had a very good time racing in the Hot Ring Circuit. It was 10 tracks total, and it revolved around one of the new cars that came out on day one, the Hot Ring Saber, basically a NASCAR, and it had, I think, up to 30 liveries, and some of them were locked in. It was based on how many times you did the Hot Ring Circuit. So if you did a certain number of races in the Hot Ring Circuit, you would eventually unlock one as a reward. And the liveries overall were really good. So it added a lot of uniqueness and customization to the Hot Ring Saber. My only regret is that we didn't have like 2 different versions of this car, you know, just to have a slightly different variation instead of all of them Hot Ring Sabers. But overall, I enjoyed the Hot Ring Circuit as well as one of the day one vehicles, which includes the Hot Ring Saber, and then the other day one vehicles we'll talk about as well that came out, the Taipan, the Entity XXR, the GB200, the Fagaloa. All those came out on day one, all 5 of those vehicles. And we also got a lot of drip-fed stuff happening in Dripocalypse 2018 continuing. We'll go with the vehicles first, then we'll talk about the modes. Alright, so we had the LA Muscle Car, we had the Tezerek, the Caracara Off-Road 6-wheeled truck with a gun on it, the Sea Sparrow attack helicopter making its return all the way from Vice City, the Flash GT, the IC Classic, the Dominator GTX, my favorite probably of all these vehicles, the Tyrant, the Cheburek. The Cheburek was a fun car, all the way from Mother Russia. It's the cheapest one, by the way, and it has a lot of really cool customization, including the ability to put cardboard box spoilers and skirts on it and vents. It's just a fun little car. I love the Cheburek. And then, of course, the Michelli GT Sports Classic. So far, when it comes to the drip-fed vehicles, we've had 10. And we'll talk about the 11th in a little bit. Now, the drip-fed modes. Some of these I liked. Some of these I don't, but we'll focus on the ones I like. But we'll mention all of them. Target Assault, Vespucci Job. I loved Vespucci Job. I thought it was a lot of fun. It could have used some tweaks. It could have been more than just, what was it, 1v3, I think? Like one person in the IC Classic versus 3 cop cars. It would have been kind of cool if they would have done like 2v6 or something. But it was a fun little adversary mode, Vespucci Job. I liked it personally. The Special Vehicle Circuit, it had its moments. The new update to the Special Vehicle Circuit included races for the Deluxo, Stromberg, as well as the Thruster Jetpack. The Dispatch Contact Missions, since I'm a contact missions kind of guy, I loved all 7 Dispatch Contact Missions from Martin Mendraza, especially that first week when they rolled out and they were double money. I really enjoyed them then. The Trapdoor Adversary mode was actually a pretty decent adversary mode. There was a creator update for everybody that enjoys, making content in Grand Theft Auto Online. So we had an update to the creator. We had 7 brand new Transform races and Weenie IC Classic races as well. So that's, I believe, all the modes that were drip fed out over the past 3 months. Now, along with the drip fed vehicles and the modes, we also had a ton of event weeks, discounts, double money, and even a triple money opportunity over the weekend with Motor Wars. So, double money wise, we had contact missions were double money, Fleeka Job double money, Prison Break double money, Humane Labs double money, Act 1 and 2 of the Doomsday Heist finales, those were both double money, Smuggler's Run, Special Cargo, Biker Cell missions, all that for last week and going on this week is currently double money. There's been several login reward items and money that Rockstar has given away simply by just logging into Grand Theft Auto Online and more. But I do want to make a little asterisk by this. Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series wasn't really required for any of that. It was cool that it happened during this update, but even without Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series, we could have still got everything I just mentioned, the double money opportunities for the contact missions, the heists, as well as the sale opportunities for the various businesses. So it didn't really require this update to do all that. But fortunately, it is, I guess you could say, kind of sort of included because it's happened during this recent DLC in Grand Theft Auto Online. And finally, as always, when it comes to pros, the usual fixes and patches that Rockstar adds to the game in each and every update, even if some things still remain unfixed. Alright, so those were the pros. Time to move into the cons, and usually there's a lot of cons, and the Southern San Andreas Super Sports Series is no exception. As I mentioned at the beginning of this review, I felt like that this update was not really one update, but several small updates, several ideas and modes and races and adversary modes that Rockstar simply just piled together into one quasi-update. They blended it together, they meshed it together, they tried to anyways. But at the end of the day, it just felt like they were going at the bottom of the barrel, scraping. Because, I mean, we've had so many updates over the past 4 years. A lot of ideas have been put out there via Rockstar, like lowriders, bikers, heists, all these various business opportunities. So yeah, it's understandable that eventually Rockstar would run out of ideas, especially 4 years into this game. That's an impressive lifespan for an online game. So yeah, it did feel like that these are like little ideas like Hot Ring Circuit, as well as Target Assault, and the Weenie Icy Classic races, along with the new Transform races, the new Vehicle Circuit races, and all the various other things like Vespucci Job, Trapdoor. All it just felt like things you would normally see added to a larger update, but they decided to pile them up together into an update itself, the Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series. Yeah. Another thing I didn't really like and care for regarding this update was no new clothing. Hairstyles are weapons. That's right, we didn't get any new clothing at all, and it's been a while since I think we've gotten new hairstyles, and no weapons. Besides, I guess you could say the Kara as well as the Sea Sprawl, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about actual weapons your character can carry on them. We didn't get any new firearms, we didn't get any new melee weapons, or any new throwables. So yeah, once again, no new weapons, hairstyles, or clothing. Moving on to the vehicles. Now yeah, we got several new vehicles, but most of them have issues one way or the other. First off, let's talk about the price tags. A lot of these vehicles are just too damn expensive. You don't exactly get your money's worth. Let's start with the Michele GT Sports Classic. $1.2 million. This car came out the same day as the Cheburek, which is $145,000. The Cheburek is a lot more fun than the Michele GT, and it's a lot cheaper. So there you go. That's one against the Michele GT. Way too expensive. It should have been half the price. And a lot of these I kind of ranted about over the past several months. So you can go to my rant playlist and check those out. Flash GT. A lot of people were looking forward to this sports car, and it was too expensive. $1.6 million, and it really doesn't perform so well in the sports class. Now let's talk about the Kara once again. This six-wheeled truck with a gun on it, featured in Target Assault. It was too expensive, $1.7 million. And what's really sad about this is I would have loved to have like a weaponless version of the Kara. That way You could actually have people sitting in the back just chilling, maybe like have it as a 6-person truck, like 4 people in the cab and 2 in the back, and just make it a little bit cheaper. I think a lot of people would have loved the Cara if it wasn't so expensive and you could get a version without the gun on it. Now let's move into the supercars. All of them were expensive as hell. The cheapest was the Taipan, $1.9 million. The Entity XXR, $2.3 million. The Tyrant, $2.5 million. And the Tesseract, $2.8 million, making it the most expensive non-weaponized car in Grand Theft Auto Online. And a lot of us are wondering, well, why did Rockstar make these vehicles so damn expensive, especially since most of them aren't worth the price tag? It's pretty obvious. They didn't add clothing, they didn't have hairstyles or weapons or properties. They didn't add any new properties to this update. So Rockstar had to make money off of something from this DLC. And so they banked on the vehicles. That's what they put it on, price tag wise. That's why these vehicles were so damn expensive, is because Rockstar is a business, Take-Two is a business, and because the DLC is quote-unquote free, it means that people can go and buy it with in-game currency or, if need be, shark cards, and Rockstar and Take-Two always banking on the shark cards, right? And that's why these vehicles were so expensive. But at the same time, in my opinion, none of them were worth the price tag that was right by their names. Most of the vehicles also had flag issues or should have performed better based off the amount that they were priced at. A few examples is the Dominator and Ellie muscle cars. 2 beautiful cars, by the way. I love both of them. A classic Mustang and a modern Mustang. They should have both been top-tier muscle cars, but neither of them are. And they're both got kind of a price tag to them, as well as all the Southern San Andreas Super Sports Series supercars that came out, as I just mentioned a moment ago. Taipan, XXR, Tyrant, Tesseract, very expensive supercars. You would expect them to be automatically at the top tier of the superclass. Unfortunately, they're not. So you spend money just for the looks, and that's it. And I'm the kind of person that likes to get something out of what I pay for, especially when it comes to fast cars in the game. Performance, whether it's in the muscle category, sports, or super. And to be honest, whenever you're asking your fans to buy a vehicle as expensive as the Tesseract or the Tyrant, the XXR, or the cheapest, the Taipan, they should actually do rather well in supercar races. Unfortunately, none of them do. And the same can be said about the Michelli GT in Sports Classics, as well as the Flash GT in Sports. And the Cara doesn't do as well on off-roads. It does okay. It could do better, maybe if it didn't have the gun on it. And then finally, the Sea Sparrow attack helicopter, which a lot of people have been wanting from Vice City. It's a fun attack helicopter, but you put it up against the Buzzard, and I did a rant video about the Sea Sparrow as well. There are things I like about it, the things I don't like about it, but overall, I feel like the Buzzard is still the better of the two, with a few exceptions. Now let's talk about the car that a lot of people have been waiting for, that as of right now we still haven't gotten. The Supra, aka the Jester Classic, is still MIA. Now, as I already pointed out, a lot of these vehicles already had flag issues and problems, and it feels like most of them don't perform as well as they should. Now, I don't know if that was intentional, and maybe Rockstar will fix that in the next update and buff them so that all the supercars and the Dominator, GTX, and the Ellie actually do better in races in the classes they're in, or maybe they won't. But with the Jester Classic, we know about it because of the files and images that have come out. But for some odd reason, over 3 months later, we still have yet to get the Jester Classic. Now, apparently, it doesn't have as many mods or customization options as people would like. Plus, it has performance issues. It has graphic issues to it, from what some have said. And in my opinion, I think that Rockstar intentionally decided to hold off posting the Jester Classic until maybe the next update. Maybe they're waiting to fix all the issues that the Jester Classic has and put it out with the Nightlife update. That's my theory anyways. Then again, they could be saving it for next week or the week after. And whenever they do finally put out the Jester Classic, it turns out to be one big disappointment that we've been all expecting. I hope that's not the case. I would like to see all these vehicles fixed with the problems that they have, but that remains to be seen. And I also want to talk about the name of this update, the Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series. I surprisingly have gotten that right because I have it written down in front of me. That is like the worst name of all these updates. I know it's a small issue here, and sometimes I like to throw in small issues into the cons near the end. But couldn't have you guys at Rockstar come up with a better name for this update? Couldn't you just call it like the Super Sport Series? Like, you know, sometimes keeping something shorter is better. The shorter the better. Like the High Life update, I'm Not a Hipster, Independence Day Special, Heist, the Doomsday Heist, for example. Shorter is sometimes better, Rockstar. That's just a long-ass name. Extremely long. Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series. You try saying that a few times and watch you get tongue-tied. Overall, new modes weren't fun either. Now, as I said, there were a few I liked, but the ones I don't really care for, I'll talk about right now. Target Assault, I didn't really care for Target Assault. It's good for one thing, and it's for practice when you're like a gunner in a vehicle that's weaponized. Because there's a lot of missions and heists that require you to run and gun. And I would say that's the one silver lining about Target Assault. It allows you and a friend to go in and practice shooting at targets while racing down the road. So that's the one good thing about Target Assault. If you want practice getting better as a gunner on a weaponized vehicle, Target Assault's the way to go. I just wish that they allowed like more vehicles than the Cara to be in this. Well, I think they do, actually. The Cara is only featured in one race, if I remember correctly. I'm going off the top of my brain here. I did rant about it as well. I ran about a lot of this stuff. But I really kind of wish they would have actually allowed you to combine the vehicles, like the turreted limo versus the Cara. I think I mentioned that in the rant video. Go watch the rant video if you want to know more about that. But overall, I didn't really care for Target Assault. The 7 Transform races were meh. I think a lot of people have never really been fans of the Rockstar created Transform races. Now, user created races that use Transform racing is really good. There's a lot of really good user created Transform races out there, way better than the Rockstar created races. The Weenie Icy Classic races were actually overall fun. I enjoyed them, but there's one problem I have with the Weenie Icy Classic races. It's the fact that it's locked specifically to Weenie Icy Classics. I really wish they would have made it to where we could open it up to all compacts, because most of the races in the game revolve around either supercars or sports cars. And then you have other like smaller levels like muscle cars, sports classics, off-road. But I think there was only like 1 or 2 compact stunt races that came out many years ago for cutting stunts. And I really wish we had more, like, I guess, uncommon classes when it comes to new races. And I really do think it's a waste to have the Weenie Icy Classic races like reduced or limited only to the Weenie Icy Classic. Now, they could have just called it like compact stunt races and included featuring the Weenie Icy Classic, and then, you know, give it the opportunity to use like the Icy and all the other compacts as well. It would have made it more interesting if we had the ability to race all the compacts in those particular races. It would have made it a lot more enjoyable, in my opinion, because not everybody likes the Weenie Icy Classic. Now that we got the pros and cons out of the way, my verdict regarding the Southern San Andreas Super Sports Series: it is a typical subpar spring update, going back to the special vehicle circuit a year ago in 2017, and the year before that with Lowriders Custom Classics. Of course, in 2015 we got Heist, so that kind of changed in 2016 with Custom Classics. So in the springtime, we've come to accept that the update that we get for Grand Theft Auto Online isn't exactly going to be the quote-unquote big update of the year. It's just something to hold us over after waiting since the last update, usually in December. So that didn't really surprise me at all. Now, some of the vehicles in the new modes were cool, but a lot of the cars are plagued by performance and flag issues. And as I mentioned earlier, the discounts, double money opportunities, to be honest, really have nothing to do with this update at all, since it's for businesses and content already in the game pre-Southern San Andreas Sports Series. Furthermore, we didn't get any new clothing, weapons, or hairstyles, and the Jester Classic is still missing. Maybe we'll see it one day somewhere down the road. The only thing that really has kept us playing Grand Theft Auto Online, in my honest opinion, is all the double money opportunities that we've had over the past several months. Unlike most of the vehicles and modes that came with the Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series, which really didn't get the attention of the majority of the Grand Theft Auto Online community. So, to be honest, it was more about the discounts, the double money opportunities, the rewards for logging in, rather than this DLC itself. So, honestly, this update was definitely one of the worser updates in Grand Theft Auto Online, but at the same time, it's still awesome that Rockstar continues to update Grand Theft Auto Online with quote-unquote free content. Hopefully, the Nightlife DLC will prove to be bigger, more exciting, and not as much of a disappointment as this previous update. Feel free and let me know below in the comments section your views, your thoughts, your opinions regarding the Grand Theft Auto Online Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series.